So as I said, there is a lot of problems of the road sector. So the risk involved in road and investment are characterized by high, and they involve government action at almost every stage. So government intervention is a big problem, because sometimes government actions also take a lot of time. Then there's a limited access to toll highways, typically, which involves a large scale land acquisition programs that are subjected to a lot of delays, and often there is a lot of litigation and property disputes also. And yes, the third problem is the rehabilitation and environmental concerns, and further which the pre-project construction risk and unexpected delays are also there. The fourth one is the post construction of traffic risk is typically high. Hence, there is a risk perception. We should think before only that what should be the road investment naturally among the private investors. So if the private investors want to invest on road construction, they have to think a lot, and such investors therefore demand relatively high returns to equity. Okay, so that is what. Now, giving the capacity of new highways which have to be designed for adequate for some date in the future, say 10 years, overcapacity is built for the initial years. Okay, now the return from economically also, like by giving tolls or taking toll payments also, will take a lot of time for removing the cost. Okay, so now there is so economic returns come in a very long period of time. That is what I'm trying to tell you. And these characteristics and problems therefore do not allow the private investors to invest in road construction. Now let us talk about the road recent developments. Okay, so the recent developments are pretty good. Okay, so recent developments on road construction. So like India has the second largest road network in the world, spanning over total of 5.21 million kilometers, and over 64.5% of all the roads in the country are transported through roads, and while 90% of the total passenger traffic uses the road network to commute. Now, the government of India has allocated 10.13 billion for development of national highways across the country, and another further investment of $31 billion is expected by 2020 for the national highways. Now, the government of India plans to increase the length of the national highways from 1 lakh like 103,933 kilometers to 2 lakh kilometers. Okay, so as of February 2017, national highways of 6,064 kilometers in length were constructed. Now, against the target of 15,000 kilometers, so that means it is going less. We are still trailing from 9,000 kilometers under various road transport and highway projects. As I said, government projects always delay. Now, as of November 2016, the Union government and the Asian Development Bank, they have signed a contract of almost US 500 million loan agreement to build the longest bridge across the river Ganga in Bihar. So again I repeat, Asian Development Bank and the Union government has tied up and they have taken a loan agreement to build the longest bridge across Bihar in Ganga. So the river is bridge is built on Ganga. And in April 2017, the government of India has agreed to build a world-class road infrastructure in the Jaffna region in Sri Lanka. And the three major stretches, which is built are Mannar. So let me tell you about it. This Jaffna region in Sri Lanka. Okay, and the three major stretches being built are, the first one is Mannar to Varu. Okay, so Mannar to Vavu Nia. Okay, the second one is Dambula to Trichomali, and the third one is Jaffna to Mannar. Okay, so this is the way they are connecting to Sri Lanka also. Now the expansion of road has also done, like the national highways and the infrastructure development corporation is trying to have a project to build 5 tunnels which is worth of almost 3.42 billion. And these tunnels are namely, which are the tunnels? Let us see the names of the tunnels. So tunnels built. Okay, so the first one is Zojila tunnel at the Zojila Pass, okay, which is almost 14 kilometers is the tunnel. Then we'll talk about is the Vailu tunnel at the Sinthan Pass, which is having almost 8 to 10 kilometers. Then we have the Z or the Z Mora tunnel, that is 6.5 kilometers. Then we have is the Pir Ki Gali tunnel on the national highways, that is 244 national highways. And what is the space or what is the length of the tunnel? Kilometers is 8.5 kilometers, and it is built in the national highways of 244. Okay, let's continue with some more tunnels. Then we have is the Daranga tunnel at Shuddh Mahadev, okay, which is having 4.5 kilometers, and which will also help in avoiding the road accidents. Because of avalanches. Okay, and yes, also something happened in April 2017 also. So April 2017, the Chenani and Nashri tunnels, okay, that links the Kashmir. So it links the Kashmir Valley with Jammu. Okay, it was inaugurated. Okay, so it is the longest road tunnel in the country. Okay, and yes, this been spent almost, we have spent 371,186 million were invested in this project. It's the longest road tunnel, and the targeted pace of roads construction has been increased to 23 kilometers per day. So the target is that each day there must be 23 kilometers of work being done in India. Okay, so as I said also, if you talk about is like the national highways almost accounts the 1.9% of the road, and there must be double lane highways constituted the large share of highways in India. And the government has also proposed to upgrade 2-lane national highways into 4-lane national highways. Okay, so that is why the government is also trying to build lots of long roads to link the country with Bangladesh, Bhutan and Nepal. Okay, now this project will ease the movement of passengers and cargo, and increase the inter-regional trade by 60%. So around 50% funding for this project would come from the Asian Development Bank. Okay, And in response for that, there is institutional investors from Canada, then Middle East and the US. In February 2017, they bidded on the NHAI platform. They auctioned and they wanted to even invest in these 10 monetized highway projects in the country. Okay, so the central government has decided to bring all the future roads projects such as economic corridors and coastal roads under one platform. Okay, with an aim to give a boost to its Bharat Mala plan. Okay, now this is a flagship program which is estimated to cost around 148.74 billion. So it's a very very great project that's called as Bharat Mala, and it's a flagship project. Okay, and where they are trying to increase it by the demand for urban transport, by electronic toll collection. Then there must be international investment also in these road projects, and there must be infrastructure initiatives such as programs like Bharat Nirman and then JNNURM, which are designed to pursue the nationwide rural connectivity, linking all the unconnected villages with the fair weather roads. Okay, so this is very very important. Okay, and yes, they have also created this common service center that is called as CSS near the toll plaza to ensure the availability for electronic toll collection. Okay, so yes, this is very very important. As I told you also, like taxes and other initiatives have been taken. The encouragement of infrastructure debt funds also have been done. Mutual funds have also told to the government is trying to tell everybody to invest in mutual funds, especially in infrastructure. And then there is a support from the union budget also, and focusing on the rural development. And then there is an issue of tax free infrastructure bonds, which also the government of India is promoting by way of especially these are the infrastructure finance companies of India. If they are like the infrastructure finance company that is called as IIFCL. Then we have the National Highways Authority of India, that is the NHAI. Then we have Housing and Urban Development Corporation, that is HUDCO. Then we have Power Finance Corporation, that is PFC. Then we have the Indian Railway Finance Corporation, that is IRFC. They have been permitted to issue these tax-free bonds for collection of funds for a total value of US $3.27 million for the promotion of infrastructure debt funds is the top agenda, so that they have given it publicly, so that the public also invest on these projects, and this way they can also further use this money for their very very exciting projects, which will help for the benefit and for the future of a great and a strong India. Okay, so let's go with the next one. We will talk about the next topic. I think we will talk about is the civil aviation. Yes, we will talk about the civil aviation. Yes, so civil aviation sector in India. Okay, now in India, beginning in the air transport was made in the year 1920, when the program first decided to prepare air routes between the Mumbai and Kolkata. So the civil aviation work actually started in 1924-25, but the progress was slow until the outbreak of the Second World War. Now the first company which was founded, that was the HAL, that is Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. Okay, so it was founded in 1940. Now it was started at Bangalore. Now Bangalore as a repair, overhauling and assembling depot, and now it has grown into an important manufacturing plant. It has designed and manufactured trainer aircrafts. It belongs to the aerospace and the defense industry. So this is managed by the Ministry of Defense. Okay, so the timeline, if you start that, the civil aviation started from 1932 in Tata Airlines. The first commercial airlines was founded by JRD Tata, And in 1946, Tata Airlines became Air India. And in 1953, Indian Airlines Corporation was established and it started to operate. And in 1981, there was Vayu Doot. Vayu Doot was founded as a joint venture between Air India and Indian Airlines. Okay, so in 1993, Vayu Doot, was merged into Indian Airlines. So then it started at Indian Airlines in 1993. Now in 1996, there was an Alliance Air which was very famous, and now it is an Air India Regional which was formed as a subsidiary of a part of the Indian Airlines. Now 2005, you have seen a drastic change where Indian Airlines was rebranded as Indian Airlines. Okay, so 2011, Indian, formerly known as Indian Airlines was merged with Air India, and post merger, Alliance Air was also renamed as Air India Regional. So all these airlines finally they culminated and they merged into Air India. Okay, so if you talk about that India, if you talk about a recent development, or if we can have a discussion or snapshot on civil airlines aviation in India. India is set to become the third largest aviation market by 2020, and by 2020, passenger traffic at Indian airports is expected to increase 421 million from 264.99 million in 2016 and 17. What about the travel and tourism? Yes, travel and tourism is a major contributor to the aviation growth and will contribute more, almost 423.7 billion to GDP by 2026. So more and more there will be travel and tourism increase, this department or this part. Okay, and the travel and the tourism industry is forecasting to grow at more 6.6%, by 2026. Okay, so this is what is basically, so India, as I said, is the ninth largest civil aviation market in the world, and domestic passenger traffic also has witnessed a growth rate of 21.5%. So now airports in India have witnessed a domestic passenger traffic of about 205 million people. So there is a huge investment of 6 billion US dollars which are expected in the country's exports sector in 5 years. So India's civil aviation market is set up to become the world's third largest by 2020, and now it's still at, we are still expecting more progress by 2030. So if you talk about the growth, India is planning to increase the number of airports to 250 by 2030 to cater to much growth. Okay, and it's rising the working group also, and widening the middle class demography is expected to boost the demand also. So that is huge investment happening in the aviation sector also. And if you talk about also the different repair and the overall facilities and the maintenance repair, that is MRO, so there is a growth in that department too. Talking about the investments,